Hello everyone, and welcome to Dead Time Stories. Tonight, the storm outside isn't the only thing brewing. True tales so chilling they'll make your skin crawl, yet so mesmerizing you won't be able to turn away. But here's the twist. That distant thunder isn't just atmosphere. It's the key to unlocking your deepest sleep. So before you drift off, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get comfortable, relax, and dive into tonight's story. The house wasn't on any map you'd ever seen, and yet your feet found its path like they'd rehearsed it. The gravel road behind you went quiet, swallowing the sound of passing cars as if the trees were thick enough to muffle the whole town. Up ahead, a porch light burned the color of honey. Not bright. Not dim. Just certain. You paused at the first stepping stone. The air smelled like wet leaves and old paper. A wind moved through the branches above, and the house answered with a soft creak, the way a person might clear their throat before speaking. "Okay," you whispered, mostly to yourself. "Just look. Then go." Your phone had one bar. The screen felt colder than it should have. The porch steps didn't groan when you climbed them. That was the first strange thing. Old Wood always complains. This wood held still, polite and quiet. A brass plaque by the door caught the porch light. It didn't have an address. It had a name. Not yours. At least, you didn't think it was. The front door stood slightly open, just a sliver, like the house had gotten tired of waiting and cracked itself to listen for you coming. From inside, a faint, steady ticking. A clock, you thought. Then you realized it wasn't one clock. It was several, layered together, all ticking at slightly different speeds. Like a roomful of hearts. "Hello?" you called, and your voice came back smaller than expected. Silence answered, then the tiniest sound, like someone smiling with their mouth closed. Your hand found the knob. It was warm. Not sun warm. Body warm. "Okay," you said again, firmer. In and out. The door swung inward with a sigh that felt relieved. The foyer was neat in the way museums are neat, clean, careful, and missing the messy proof that people lived there. A coat rack waited by the wall, empty but dustless, as if it had been used 5 minutes ago. A hallway stretched ahead, and to the right the living room held a couch and 2 chairs positioned toward a fireplace that had never known soot. Above the mantel sat a clock with no numbers, just hands circling a blank face. Tick, tick, tick. You stepped inside fully. The air cooled around you, settling on your skin like a thin sheet. Behind you, the door clicked shut. You spun. Hey! It wasn't a slam. It was the gentle, final sound of a decision. Your phone buzzed. No service. The screen flickered once, then steadied. "Great," you muttered. "Perfect." Somewhere deeper in the house a floorboard popped. An old sound, familiar, except it came with a careful rhythm, like footsteps that stopped the moment you noticed them. You waited. "Is someone there?" you asked, trying for normal. A pause. Then, from the hallway, a whisper that didn't quite become sound. It slid into your thoughts instead, like a breath against the inside of your ear. "Name." You flinched so hard your shoulders cramped. "No. Nope. I'm tired. That's all. I'm just..." The house creaked again, almost kindly. The porch light behind the curtains dimmed a fraction, as if the place was trying not to glare. Your gaze snagged on something near the baseboard, a small line of chalk, like someone had marked a height. Another line. And another. A child's growth chart, except there were no names beside the marks. Only dates. And the last date was tomorrow. Your mouth went dry. That's not funny." The ticking thickened, as if more clocks had joined in. You backed away from the wall and bumped the coat rack. A single hanger swung, though you hadn't seen any. A soft, patient pressure settled behind your ribs, like the house was waiting for you to exhale. You should have left. That would have been the sensible thing. But exhaustion makes sense feel far away, like it belongs to someone else. You followed the hallway toward the kitchen because the air there smelled faintly of chamomile and warm bread, comfort smells, the kind that make your eyelids heavy. The kitchen lights were off, but moonlight pooled neatly across the linoleum floor, stopping right before the doorway like it respected the room's privacy. On the table sat a mug. Steam rose from it in a slow, lazy curl. You stared. No way. You stepped closer. The mug's handle was turned outward, positioned for a right hand, your right hand. A small detail, but it made your skin prickle. A voice came from the dark corner by the pantry. Not a whisper in your head this time. A real voice, low and tired, like someone waking from a nap. Don't drink it. You jerked around. Who said that? A figure sat in a chair you hadn't noticed, an older man, maybe 60, with a face like folded paper. His eyes were open but unfocused, as if he was looking at something behind you. I did, he said, and his voice rasped like it had been unused. Or, I'm trying to. You took a step back. How are you here? He smiled without humor. Same way you are. The road gets quiet. The light gets friendly. You get tired? I can leave, you said, though it sounded more like a question. The man's fingers worried at the edge of the table, tapping an anxious pattern. Tap, tap, pause, like he was afraid of making too much noise. It lets you leave, he said. Sometimes. The steam from the mug continued to rise, steady as breath. What is it? You asked, nodding at the drink. He swallowed. Something that helps you sleep. Something that helps it learn. Your heart thudded. Learn what? He finally looked at you directly, and his eyes were glossy with the kind of fear that's been smoothed flat by time. Your name, he said. Your habits. The shape of you when you stop fighting. From the hallway came the quietest creak, as if the house had leaned in to listen. The man lowered his voice. Don't say your name out loud in here. The older man, he said his name was Mr. Lorne, and then winced like he'd broken his own rule, pushed his chair back carefully. Sorry, he murmured. Sometimes it pulls it out of you. Like a splinter. You shouldn't have told me, you said, and your voice shook despite your effort. He gave a small shrug. It already knows I'm here. It knows everything that's here. He motioned to the chalk marks along the kitchen doorway. You hadn't seen them at first, but now you did, small notches, like a child measuring height, except the notches continued upward far beyond any human head, disappearing into the shadow near the ceiling. What are those? You asked. Levels, he said. How far it's learned someone. How deep they've slept. A soft thump sounded from above, like someone turning over in bed. Then another thump, farther away, as if the sound had traveled through the beams. Mr. Lorne flinched. They're restless tonight. Who? He glanced toward the hallway. The ones who stayed. You tried to swallow, but your throat felt tight. Are they dead? No, he said quickly, too quickly. Not dead. Not exactly. It doesn't, like waste. It likes keeping. Keeping what? He hesitated, then spoke as if repeating something he'd been told a long time ago. The safest version of you. The one who finally stops running. Your stomach rolled. That's insane. He leaned forward, and for a moment the kitchen felt smaller, the ceiling lower. Listen. The house isn't evil the way people think of evil. It's hungry the way winter is hungry. Your phone buzzed again. The screen lit up without signal, showing a single notification from an unknown number. Are you resting? You stared at it until your eyes watered. Mr. Lorne nodded sadly. That's new. It didn't used to talk like that. What do I do? You asked. He nodded at the back door. Don't run. Walk. Like you belong. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep in the wrong room. From somewhere in the hall, a whisper slid under the kitchen doorframe, soft as dust. You're not. Mr. Lorne slapped his palm on the table. No. The whisper stopped, as if reprimanded. You followed Mr. Lorne down the hallway. He moved like someone who'd memorized every squeaky board, stepping around certain spots with careful precision. Here, he said, stopping in front of a door that looked newer than the others. The wood was pale and unmarked. What's in there? You asked. A safe place, he said, then corrected himself. Safer. Maybe. He pressed his ear to the door, as if listening to a distant ocean. If you feel sleepy, you go in. You sit in the chair, not the bed. Why not the bed? He turned, and his eyes flashed with something urgent. Because beds are agreements. Before you could reply, the door across the hall creaked open by itself. A sliver of darkness widened. Cold air spilled out, not freezing, but empty, like a room that had forgotten what warmth was. From inside came a voice, thin and childlike, singing under its breath. If you rest, it knows you. If it knows, it owns you. You froze. Mr. Lorne whispered. Don't look in there. But your eyes slid to the gap anyway. You saw a bed, neatly made. A nightstand. And on the nightstand, your phone, face down, like it had been placed there. That's... you began. Mr. Lorne grabbed your wrist, his grip bony but strong. That's how it gets you. It shows you what you already trust. The child's singing stopped abruptly. Then a small voice said, conversational as a classmate leaning over a desk. Hi. Your scalp tightened. Who are you? A pause then. I'm the one who forgot my name. The house's clocks ticked louder, eager. Mr. Lorne pulled you backward, away from the open door. Don't answer it. If you answer, it learns the sound of you. The hallway light flickered. Once. Twice. And in the brief dimness you thought you saw the hall stretch longer, far longer, lined with doors that hadn't been there before, each one breathing softly, in and out, in and out. As the light steadied, Mr. Lorne whispered, It's getting ready for you. Mr. Lorne didn't so much lead you as shepherd you, one careful pace at a time, as if the house could be fooled by steady movement. His fingers stayed clamped around your wrist until you reached the pale door. Inside, he murmured. You glanced back at the open doorway across the hall. The darkness there didn't look like shadow anymore. It looked like depth. Like a well. I didn't even... You started, and your tongue stuck on the words. I didn't even come here on purpose. Mr. Lorne's mouth twitched. Nobody does. That's the trick. It makes the choice feel like yours. He pushed the pale door open with 2 fingers, like it might bite. The room beyond smelled faintly of soap and rain, clean in a way that felt staged, like the house had learned comfort from watching it in other people's lives. There was a chair in the center of the room, not facing a window, not facing a bed, facing nothing at all. And yet you had the strong sense that if you sat in it, something would sit across from you. Chair, Mr. Lorne repeated. Not the bed. The bed waited in the corner, neatly made, smooth as a promise. A quilt folded at the foot. You could almost feel its weight already, could almost feel your body saying yes, yes, yes. A tiny sound came from the baseboards, scritch, scritch, like a pencil writing. What is that? You whispered. Mr. Lorne shook his head fast, as if even naming it was dangerous. The house taking notes. You stepped into the room. Your foot landed on the floor, and you heard it clearly. A soft click. Not from the floorboard. From behind you. The hallway door across the hall, the dark one, clicked shut. Like the house had tucked something away. Mr. Lorne exhaled, a shaky breath that smelled like fear and stale coffee. Good, he said. It's distracted. Distracted by what? You asked. Mr. Lorne looked down the hallway, eyes narrowed. By the fact you didn't answer it, he said. It doesn't like unanswered questions. In the distance, a clock changed its ticking pattern. One beat grew longer. Another grew shorter. The rhythm became listening. Your phone buzzed again. Say it. You turned the screen face down in your palm like you could smother the message. Mr. Lorne leaned closer. You hear me? If it asks, you don't give. Not your name. Not your favorite color. Not the song you hum when you're alone. It collects little facts like buttons. Why? You asked, voice thin. He swallowed. Because when it has enough, it can imitate you well enough to keep you here. Even if you leave. The room felt suddenly too warm, as if the house liked that idea. Mr. Lorne finally released your wrist, but he didn't step away. He hovered near the doorway like a guard in a movie theater, blocking the aisle. "Sit," he said. You lowered yourself into the chair. It was softer than it looked, cradling your spine in a way that made your body loosen automatically. That scared you more than a hard chair would have. "Okay," you whispered. "I'm sitting. Now what?" "Now we wait for the sleepy part to pass," he said. "It comes in waves. The house pushes it through the vents, through the cracks. It's not magic exactly. It's persuasion." You tried to laugh. It came out wrong. "You're telling me the house is, what, drugging me?" Mr. Lorne's eyes flicked to the bed, then away. "Chamomile. Bread smells. Warm doorknobs. It uses whatever worked on the last person. It's a recycling bin with a porch light." A long silence settled between you. "You said it wasn't evil," you finally whispered. "Like winter." Mr. Lorne's shoulders sagged. "Winter kills you to keep itself. This thing." He paused, as if the room had leaned closer. "This thing keeps you to keep itself." From the hallway, a light switch clicked. Once. Twice. The third click didn't happen. Instead, the hallway light dimmed in a slow, deliberate fade, like eyelids lowering. Mr. Lorne stiffened. "It's testing you." "Testing what?" "Whether you'll panic," he said. "Panic makes people talk." Your mouth went dry. "How long have you been here?" Mr. Lorne's stare unfocused for a moment, as if he had to scrape the answer off an old memory. "Longer than I planned." "That's not an answer." He gave a humorless half-smile. "It likes it when you don't count days. Days are a kind of leaving." A faint sound drifted down the hallway, soft, wet, rhythmic. Footsteps? No. Too smooth. More like something dragging a blanket. Mr. Lorne lowered his voice until it was barely air. "Second rule, if you hear someone calling for help, you do not answer." Your chest tightened. "What kind of monster says that?" "The kind who's already answered," he whispered. The dragging sound stopped outside the pale door. A child's voice spoke, sweet and polite, like a kid in a classroom raising their hand. "Mr. Lorne?" Mr. Lorne closed his eyes. The voice continued, closer than it should have been. "Mr. Lorne, I found your name." His throat bobbed. He didn't answer. The child's voice softened into something almost affectionate. "You want it back?" The doorknob turned slowly. Just once. Then it stopped, like the house had decided it wasn't time yet. The chair held you still, and you hated it for that. Your legs felt heavy, obedient. It wasn't paralysis, more like your body had been convinced that moving would be rude. Mr. Lorne leaned in, mouth near your ear. "Breathe through your nose," he murmured. "It can't steal what you don't give." The phrase made no sense, but you obeyed anyway. Outside the door, the child spoke again, closer, like the voice was pressed right against the keyhole. "There's a bed made for you," it said. "Do you want to see it?" You stared at Mr. Lorne, silently begging him to do something. He shook his head barely. The voice brightened. "Okay. I'll show you anyway." Then came a sound you didn't expect. Knocking. But not on your door. The knocking came from the inside of the room, from the wall behind the bed, gentle and patient. Tap, tap, tap. You turned your head slowly, as if moving too fast might make it real. The wallpaper behind the bed bulged outward slightly, like something pressed from the other side. The bulge relaxed. Pressed again. Tap, tap, tap. Mr. Lorne hissed through his teeth. "Don't look at it too long. It's in here," you breathed. "It can be," he said. "It can put its voice anywhere. It can put its attention anywhere." The bulge in the wallpaper shifted, up, down, like a small hand searching for the right spot. Then, in a whisper that slid directly into your thoughts, the house spoke with a voice that sounded almost like your own. "Rest." Your stomach turned cold. The word wasn't a command. It was an offer, wrapped in velvet, hiding teeth. Mr. Lawrence spoke quickly, like he was trying to outrun the moment. "Tell me something true," he whispered. "What?" "Something true, but not useful," he said. "It hates that. It can't catalog it clean." Your mind sprinted. True but not useful. True but not useful. Your voice shook. "I used to think streetlights were lonely." The room went still. Even the ticking seemed to pause, offended. The wallpaper bulged back, slowly, like something withdrawing its hand. Outside the door, the child's voice dropped its sweetness. "That's not fair." Mr. Lorne let out a breath like a balloon losing air. "Good," he whispered. "It's frustrated." Your phone buzzed. The screen lit by itself, displaying a new message. "We can be lonely together." The words made your eyes sting. Because for a second, just a second, it sounded comforting. And that, you realized, was the most dangerous part. Mr. Lorne pulled a small object from his pocket, a piece of chalk wrapped in tissue. "You carry chalk?" you whispered. He gave a small, tired nod. "First week I was here, I tried everything. Knife, flashlight, prayer. Nothing mattered. Then I found chalk in a drawer and..." His eyes darted to the baseboards. "The house already had it. Like it wanted me to use it." He crouched and drew a thin line on the floor just inside the doorway. Not a symbol. Not a circle. Just a line. "What does that do?" you asked. "It reminds me where I am," he murmured. "The halls shift. But marks sometimes stick." The ticking resumed, annoyed and eager. Mr. Lawrence stood, rubbing his knees. "We need a map. We need to find the room with the records." "The books?" you asked, remembering the shelves from your earlier dream. He flinched. "You've seen them?" "In a dream," you said. Mr. Lawrence's expression tightened. "That means it's already letting you access memory space. That's not good." "Then why go there?" you asked. "Because," he said, and his voice was flat with resignation. "If it's learning you, you need to learn it back." The hallway outside the pale door brightened suddenly, as if the house had turned its face toward you. Mr. Lorne whispered, "We move now. Before it pushes sleep again." You stood too quickly, and the room swayed. The bed seemed to lean toward you, quilt whispering promises of weight and warmth. "Don't look!" Mr. Lorne snapped softly, and you forced your gaze away. He cracked the door open. The hallway had changed. It was longer. Not dramatically, just enough to make your skin recognize the lie. Doors that had been blank now held brass plaques. Some had names carved into them. Others had only symbols, a crescent moon, a closed eye, a key. From one room came soft snoring. From another, the faint sound of someone sobbing in their sleep, like a bad dream they couldn't escape. You followed Mr. Lorne, stepping where he stepped. Halfway down the hall, you noticed a new chalk mark on the wall, fresh, white, sharp. Mr. Lorne hadn't made it. "Did you?" you began. Mr. Lorne's eyes widened. "No." The chalk mark was an arrow, pointing toward a door you hadn't seen before. A door with your name carved into it, clean, deep, elegant. Your throat tightened. "I didn't." Mr. Lorne grabbed your sleeve. "Don't touch it." The door handle turned by itself, slowly, like a hand offering a handshake. And from behind it came the softest sigh, like the bed exhaling. "Come in," the house whispered inside your head, gentle as a bedtime story. Mr. Lorne pulled you away so hard your shoes scuffed the floor. "We keep walking," he hissed. "We keep walking like we never saw it." And somehow, heart hammering, eyelids heavy, curiosity knowing, you did. At the end of the hall was a door that didn't match the others. Darker wood. Older. A tarnished knob that looked like it remembered many hands. Mr. Lorne didn't knock. He pressed his palm to the door and murmured, "Please." The words struck you strangely. Not prayer. Not politeness. Something else. Permission. The door opened. Inside, The air was cooler, and it smelled like paper and rain and the back of a closet where winter coats sleep all summer. Shelves climbed the walls. Hundreds of blank-spine books. No titles. No author names. But the room was not silent. It breathed. A slow, steady sound like pages turning on their own, FRRT, 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 as if the books were dreaming. Mr. Lawrence stepped in and whispered, "Don't touch the ones that feel warm." "How would I?" You started. He shot you a look. "You'll know." Your skin prickled because you did know. Even without touching, certain books seemed to radiate a faint heat, like a pocket holding a live coal. Mr. Lorne moved to a shelf and ran his fingers across the spines without stopping, like reading Braille too fast. He found one and pulled it free. The book opened with a soft sigh. Inside were not words but pieces. A bus ticket stub. A pressed daisy. A photo corner holding nothing, as if the photo had been peeled away, leaving only the shape of it behind. Mr. Lawrence swallowed. "It keeps people as fragments." He flipped another page. A child's drawing, a house with too many windows. A stick figure inside, smiling. The caption, in shaky letters, "I'm safe now." Your stomach turned. "Safe?" you whispered. Mr. Lawrence's eyes shone with quiet anger. "It convinces them." He shoved the book into your hands suddenly. You almost dropped it. "Read without reading," he said. "Just let it pass through you." "I don't want." "Then you'll be blind," he snapped, and instantly softened. "Sorry." "I'm sorry. But you need to know what it does before it does it to you." You stared down at the open pages. And something slipped into you like cold water. A memory that wasn't yours, running through rain, laughing, a porch light ahead glowing honey yellow. A voice inside, your mother's, calling your name. Relief, exhaustion, surrender. Then a soft whisper, close as breath. "Rest." You jerked back, gasping. The book fell shut on its own. Mr. Lorne caught it, hands shaking. "That's how it hooks you. It offers you the version of tiredness that feels like love." From behind you, a page turned loudly, one sharp FWHAP, as if a book had stood up. A child's voice floated through the stacks, sweet as before. "I found you," it said. Mr. Lawrence's face went pale. "We're out of time." He seized your hand again. "And the library's ticking, because even here there were clocks, shifted into a single unified rhythm, like a heart deciding to run." Mr. Lorne pulled you between two tall shelves so quickly your shoulder brushed the books. Several spines shifted under your touch, like animals settling in their sleep. "Don't run," he whispered, breath hot at your ear. "Running makes noise. Noise makes it curious." Behind you, the child's voice drifted closer, cheerful as a kid at hide-and-seek. "I'm not mad," it sang. "I'm just looking." You tried to breathe quietly, but your lungs wanted to gulp air like you'd been underwater. The library smelled deeper now, paper, mildew, and something faintly sweet beneath it, like warm milk. "What do we do?" you mouthed. Mr. Lorne pointed down the aisle. 3 shelves ahead, a narrow gap opened between bookcases. Too narrow to be a normal passage, like the house had pinched the space shut. "A service corridor," he whispered. "Sometimes it forgets to watch there." "Sometimes," you repeated, and your voice cracked. He gave a tiny nod that didn't comfort you at all. The child's footsteps, if they were footsteps, made no sound. But the books reacted, pages fluttered, shelves creaked, a soft ripple moving through the stacks as if attention itself had weight. The child spoke again, closer. "Mr. Lorne, I know you're here. I can smell your worry." Mr. Lorne's jaw clenched. He didn't answer. A book slid halfway out of a shelf near you with a slow, deliberate scrape. It hung there, as if offering itself. The spine was warm. You could feel it without touching. Your phone buzzed in your pocket. The vibration felt too loud in the quiet. "Open it. Open the warm one." You pressed your hand hard against your pocket until the buzzing stopped. Mr. Lorne hissed. "Good. How is that good? You whispered. It wants you to talk back, he said. Silence is starvation. The child giggled, and you hated how normal it sounded, like recessed laughter. If you won't talk, it said, I'll guess. The air chilled. Somewhere behind the shelves, a voice that sounded like you, only softer, sleepier, murmured your name in a questioning tone. You stiffened. Mr. Lorne grabbed your chin gently, forcing your eyes to meet his. Don't react, he mouthed. It's fishing. The service gap ahead seemed to shimmer, like heat above asphalt, except the library was cold. Mr. Lorne moved first. He turned sideways and slid into the narrow passage. You followed, holding your breath, shoulders scraping wood. The moment you were through, the shelves behind you shifted, a quiet grinding, like teeth. The gap shrank. You and Mr. Lorne stood in darkness, pressed close to a wall that felt faintly damp, like the underside of something alive. And on the other side of the shelves, the child's voice turned thoughtful. Oh, it said, disappointed. You found the crack. The service corridor was barely wide enough for you to stand without your shoulders touching both walls. The air smelled like pennies and wet stone. A faint draft crawled across your ankles, and it carried something that made your eyes sting, chamomile again, and warm bread, and the cozy scent of clean sheets. The house was pumping sleep into the hidden places. Mr. Lorne slid his chalk from his pocket and drew a small symbol on the wall, a simple square with a dot in the middle. Home? You whispered. Anchor, he corrected. If the hull changes, this might still be here. Might, you echoed, and it came out meaner than you meant. Everything is might. Mr. Lorne didn't argue. He just listened, face angled toward the vent above you. A soft whisper flowed through it, like someone talking through a pillow. Rest, rest, rest. You clapped a hand over your ear and immediately regretted it. Your palm against your ear was a loud, fleshy sound. Mr. Lorne flinched. Careful, he mouthed. Then, from the vent, a voice that wasn't whispering, clear, conversational. You're tired, it said. You don't have to be brave. You froze. Is that? It's the house, Mr. Lorne whispered. Or something it made. The voice continued, patient as a bedtime parent. You can sit down. Just for a minute. Mr. Lorne is scared because he's been awake too long. Mr. Lorne's face tightened, but he kept moving, sliding one foot ahead of the other. The corridor sloped gently downward. You could feel it in your calves, the way the floor changed angle. Your ears popped once, like you were descending into a basement. A door appeared on your left, an iron door, old and pitted, with a keyhole shaped like an eye. Mr. Lorne stopped so abruptly you almost walked into him. That's new, he whispered. The vent voice brightened. That's for you. Your mouth went dry. For me? Yes, the voice said, almost excited. It's your room's spine. The part that holds you up. Mr. Lorne's hand tightened around your wrist again. Don't open anything metal, he whispered. Metal means lock. Wood means invitation. Either way, don't. From behind you, the shelves above the corridor creaked, like the library was leaning down to listen. The voice turned gentle again. If you open it, you'll understand. No more might. No more guessing. Your body leaned toward the iron door before your mind did. The keyhole looked like it watched you back. Mr. Lorne hissed. Look at me. You forced your gaze away. Your eyes watered from the effort. Mr. Lorne's voice shook. Third rule, clarity is bait. The vent voice sighed, disappointed. He always ruins the fun. Then the corridor lights. There weren't any, but you realized there was a faint glow anyway, dim to almost nothing. In the near dark, you heard a soft click from the iron door. Something on the other side had turned the lock. The corridor ended in a wooden door that looked too ordinary to trust. Mr. Lorne placed his palm on it and waited. Please, he whispered again. The door opened as if it had been holding its breath. You stepped into a room that should have been underground, pipes along the ceiling, a concrete floor, but it felt wrong. The air was warm like summer, and the ceiling was too high, disappearing into shadow like a night sky. Along one wall sat rows of filing cabinets. Not antique. Not charming. Industrial gray, dented, labeled with little metal tabs. Mr. Lawrence's face went tight with dread. "This is it," he whispered. "The records." "What records?" you asked, but your stomach already knew. He approached the cabinets like they might lunge. He opened one drawer. Inside were folders. Each folder was thick, bulging, as if stuffed with paper. Mr. Lorne pulled one out and slid it across the floor toward you, like he didn't want it in his hands. The label on the tab was a name you didn't recognize. Then he opened it. No paper. Just things. A baby tooth in a tiny plastic bag. A crumpled movie ticket. A key with a worn-down bite. A strand of hair taped to a card. Your skin crawled. "What is this?" "Proof," Mr. Lorne said. "The house collects what you shed. It uses it too." He stopped, swallowing. "To make you again." You backed away. "That's not possible." Mr. Lawrence's laugh was short and bitter. "You're standing in a hallway that grows doors overnight. Don't cling to possible." A sound came from behind a cabinet, a soft inhale, like someone waking from a nap. You and Mr. Lorne both froze. A voice, adult, tired, female, spoke from the shadow. "Please, don't let it foul me," Mr. Lorne whispered. "Who's there?" A woman stepped out slowly. She looked normal, like someone's aunt in a grocery store, cardigan, jeans, hair pulled back, except her eyes were too wide, and she held her hands away from her body like she didn't trust them. "It put me in a drawer," she whispered. "Not like in it, but like it labeled me. Like I'm paperwork." "What's your name?" you asked automatically. Mr. Lawrence snapped. "No!" Too late. The woman flinched as if struck. She squeezed her eyes shut. "I can't. It took it. I can feel the empty place where it used to be." The filing cabinets shuddered, just slightly. The metal tabs rattled in a chorus, like teeth chattering. From the ceiling, a whisper poured down like warm dust. "We are organizing." The woman's face crumpled. "It's here," she whispered. "It knows you're looking." Mr. Lorne grabbed a folder and shoved it back in the drawer hard. "We need yours," he told you. "We need to find your file before it finishes it." "My file?" you whispered. Mr. Lorne's eyes were wet. "If it gets a complete set, it doesn't need you awake anymore." The woman, she motioned for you to call her, helped you search. She moved fast but carefully, as if sudden motions might make the cabinets angry. "What happens when it finishes?" you asked, hands shaking as you slid open another drawer. Swallowed hard. "It makes a version of you that doesn't fight," she whispered. "A polite you. A sleepy you. And then it puts the real you somewhere quiet." Mr. Lawrence's voice was raw. "Not dead. Just shelved." A drawer squealed open under your hands. Inside were more folders, tabs gleaming in the warm light. You scanned the names, heart stuttering at each one, some normal, some weirdly old-fashioned, like Eunice, Harold, Basil. Then you saw it. A folder with a tab that was blank, no name, no label, just a faint indentation where something had been stamped and then erased. Your fingertips tingled with cold. Mr. Lawrence saw your face and whispered, "That's it." You reached for the folder and immediately jerked your hand back. It was warm. Not paper warm. Body warm. Whispered, "It's fresh." You swallowed. "I'm not opening it." Mr. Lawrence stared at you with desperate honesty. "We don't have a choice. If we don't see what it has, we can't know what it's missing. Or we're helping it." You snapped. A beat of silence. Then, from somewhere inside the cabinets, a soft voice that sounded like a lullaby hummed your childhood bedtime tune, the one nobody should know. Your eyes burned. "How does it?" "It's been near you longer than tonight," Mr. Lorne whispered. "It follows people sometimes. It finds the ones who are worn." M's lips trembled. Open it, she whispered, tears pooling. If you don't, it'll open you. Your hand hovered over the folder again. The warmth seeped into your palm like heat from a living cheek. You pulled it out. The folder was heavier than it should be. You opened it. Inside were no objects at first, just a faint, swirling fog, like breath trapped in a cold room. Then the fog thickened, and you heard something, your own breathing, recorded in perfect detail. The exact rhythm of your sleep. Panic rose in you, sharp and hot. The cabinet drawers all slid open at once with a metallic scream. And the house whispered, pleased and intimate. Yes. That's you? Mr. Lawrence slammed the folder shut, but the fog seeped through the seams, curling around his fingers like smoke. Too late, Em whispered. It knows you know. The room shifted. Not the cabinets, everything else. The ceiling seemed to lower, the shadows pressing inward like a crowd leaning close. The warm air thickened, sweetening with chamomile until you could taste it. Your eyelids drooped. Your body begged for the chair, the bed, any surface that would let it stop holding itself up. Mr. Lorne grabbed your shoulders. Stay with me, he said, and the urgency in his voice was the only thing keeping your eyes open. Say something useless. Useless, you echoed, but your mind felt syrupy. And backed away toward the door, eyes wild. It's coming, she whispered. It always comes when you open a fresh file. A new sound filled the room, the steady, measured ticking of a single clock, louder than before. It didn't come from a wall. It came from the air itself, like time had chosen a voice. Then the house spoke, no whispering now. Clear, gentle, calm. I can help you, it said. You felt the words in your chest more than you heard them. Mr. Lawrence snarled. Don't listen. The house continued unbothered. You are tired. You are kind. You are carrying too much. Let me hold it. You swallowed, fighting the pull. Why? You croaked. Why do you do this? A pause, almost like the house was choosing the nicest answer. Because you come to me, it said. Because I am built from need. Because I was made to keep what leaves. And began to shake. It's lying, she whispered. It was made to store people. Like a pantry. The house's tone softened, almost amused. A pantry is not cruel, it said. It is practical. Mr. Lorne leaned close to your ear. It's offering you peace, he whispered. But peace here has a price. The house spoke again, and this time it used your own voice, perfectly, heartbreakingly accurate. Just rest, it said as your throat tightened. Hearing yourself say it made your body want to obey. Then a new voice, childlike, joined in, delighted. And if you rest, it chimed, we get your name forever. Em clapped her hands over her ears and screamed. Stop! The filing cabinets shuddered again. The drawers rattled like teeth. The house went quiet for one beat. Then it said, very gently, as if explaining something simple to a child. Shouting is not allowed in the sleeping rooms. The concrete floor beneath Em softened, just slightly, like wet sand. Em gasped and stumbled, and her shoes sank an inch into the floor. Mr. Lorne grabbed you and hauled you backward toward the door. Move, he hissed. Now. Your legs felt like they belonged to someone else. But you moved. Because behind you, the house began to hum your lullaby again, sweet, patient, certain. And you understood, in a cold flash, that the hum wasn't meant to comfort you. It was meant to finish you. You ran. Not fast, not panicked, but with the stiff, desperate momentum of someone running through a dream where the ground resists every step. Mr. Lorne pulled you through the doorway just as the concrete behind you softened further, rippling like disturbed water. Em screamed again, and the sound cut off abruptly, not with the scream's end, but with the sudden silence of a mouth gently closed. The door slammed. Not hard. Carefully. The humming stopped. For a moment, the basement corridor was quiet except for your ragged breathing and the pounding of blood in your ears. Mr. Lorne leaned against the wall, chest heaving. She won't follow, he said. Not yet. You stared at the closed door. We just left her. She was already halfway gone, he said hoarsely. If we stayed, we'd have joined her file. Your knees buckled. You slid down the wall until you were sitting on the cold floor, hands shaking. I heard it use my voice, you whispered. It sounded right. Like me on my best day. Mr. Lorne crouched in front of you. His eyes were bloodshot, but sharp. That's how it wins. It doesn't invent. It refines. From somewhere deep in the house, a sound echoed upward, metal sliding, folders shifting, the careful order of something being put away. Mr. Lorne closed his eyes. It's filing her. Your stomach twisted. A faint chalk line glowed on the wall nearby. One Mr. Lorne hadn't drawn. It curved downward, forming a crude arrow, pointing back toward the basement. You shook your head. It's trying to lead us. Yes, he said. It always does. Then where do we go? He hesitated, just long enough to tell you the truth. There's one place it hates us being, he said. Because it can't keep anything there. Your mouth felt numb. Where? Mr. Lorne swallowed. The room where people wake up. The staircase wasn't where it should have been. It wasn't tucked neatly behind a door or hidden beneath another flight. It stood in the middle of a hallway like it had been dropped there and forgotten. Bare wooden steps spiraling upward into darkness. Each step had a number carved into it. Not sequential. Some were scratched out. Others deeply gouged, like someone had carved them with shaking hands. What do the numbers mean? You whispered. Mr. Lorne's jaw tightened. Attempts. Attempts at what? He didn't answer right away. He placed one foot on the first step, then paused. Don't stop once we start, he said. Stopping makes it think you're counting. That's bad? It means you're considering staying. A clock ticked somewhere overhead. You followed him. The staircase creaked under your weight. Not old creaking, but deliberate, like the steps were acknowledging you. Each step you passed made a soft clicking sound, as if the number carved into it had been updated. Halfway up, you noticed something awful. The numbers weren't just carved. They were written in different handwriting. Childish scrawls. Careful adult script. Shaky, looping letters like someone fighting sleep. How many people? You began. Don't, Mr. Lorne said softly. Thinking about totals makes the house proud. Your calves burned as you climbed. The air grew thinner, colder. The scent of chamomile faded, replaced by dust and ozone, like after a storm. Near the top, the staircase narrowed. The numbers stopped. The final step was blank. Mr. Lorne stood there, staring at it. What happens if I step there? You whispered. He didn't look at you. That's where it decides whether you're leaving or waking. The house whispered from below, its voice traveling easily up the stairwell. You forgot something. Your phone vibrated violently in your pocket. Your name. Mr. Lorne turned suddenly and slapped your pocket flat with his palm, hard enough to sting. No. The whisper softened. I already have most of it. You clenched your fists. Then why do you need the rest? The house paused. Then, honestly, because unfinished things ache. Mr. Lorne stepped onto the blank stare. Nothing happened. He exhaled shakily and extended his hand to you. Come on. You took it. The moment your foot touched the final step, the staircase shuddered, like it had been holding its breath. And above you, a door opened. The room beyond the door was bright. Painfully bright. White walls. No corners. No shadows. The light didn't come from a bulb or a window. It came from everywhere, flattening the space until it felt unreal. There was no bed. No chair. Nothing to sit or lie on at all. Your legs trembled, shocked by the absence of rest. This is it? You whispered. This is the place it hates? Mr. Lorne nodded slowly. No sleep here. No comfort. No remembering. The door shut behind you. The ticking stopped. For the first time since you'd entered the house, there was no sound at all. Not even your own breathing echoed. Your phone went dark in your pocket. Dead. Truly dead. You laughed weakly. I think it's angry. A pressure built in the room, not physical, but emotional, like standing too close to someone furious, who was trying very hard to be calm. Then the house spoke, but its voice was strained now, thin around the edges. You cannot stay here. Mr. Lorne lifted his chin. Watch us. The walls pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The light flickered. You are unfinished, the house said. You are mine. You surprised yourself by speaking. No. The word felt heavy. Solid. The house hesitated. You continued, voice gaining strength. You only work on people who are tired. People who want to stop. I'm still scared. Silence. Mr. Lorne smiled for the first time. Fear keeps you awake. The light dimmed suddenly, then surged brighter. You will leave pieces behind. The house warned. I already have, Mr. Lorne said quietly. And I'm still here. The walls began to crack, not physically, but perceptually, like an image tearing. The room shuddered. Then the house said something it had never said before. I don't know what to do with you. The admission rang louder than any scream. The light collapsed inward, and the floor dropped away. You woke up on cold grass. Real grass. Damp. Smelling of dirt and night air and something faintly sweet that wasn't chamomile. You sucked in a breath so deep it hurt. Above you, stars, real ones, uneven and distant. The house stood a short distance away, porch lights still glowing honey yellow. Mr. Lorne lay beside you, staring at the sky like he didn't trust it. We're out? You whispered. He nodded slowly. Yes. Relief crashed over you so hard you almost laughed. Then Mr. Lorne added quietly, for now. You sat up. The road was behind you, gravel, silent, stretching away into darkness. What about the others? You asked. Mr. Lorne closed his eyes. The house doesn't lose what it's already learned. You looked at the house again. For a moment, just a moment, you thought you saw movement behind an upstairs window. A child's silhouette. A woman's hand pressed to glass. Then the porch light dimmed slightly. Not off. Never off. Mr. Lorne stood, joints creaking. You need to go. Don't look back. Don't count steps. And if you ever feel so tired you think rest would fix everything. I'll remember, you said. He hesitated. That's the danger. It remembers too. You walked down the road. You didn't look back. But as you walked, you noticed something carved into your palm, faint, almost healed. A tiny mark. Like the beginning of a name. That night, in your own bed, you lay awake far longer than usual. Every sound made your eyes snap open. The hum of electricity. The tick of your clock. Your phone buzzed once, just a system update notification. Nothing strange. Still, you didn't sleep easily. Just before drifting off, you felt something settle into the room. Not heavy, not visible, just present. You held your breath. Nothing happened. Eventually, exhaustion won. As sleep pulled you under, you dreamed of a porch light glowing patiently in the dark. And somewhere, far away but listening closely, a house adjusted itself. And waited. Morning came in pieces. Sunlight slipped through your curtains in thin bands, dust motes drifting lazily like they had nowhere urgent to be. Your alarm hadn't gone off. Your phone sat dark on the nightstand, as if it had never been plugged in at all. You lay still, listening. No ticking that didn't belong to your own clock. No humming. No whispered suggestions. Just your apartment. Familiar. Safe. You exhaled. Then you noticed your hand. The mark on your palm hadn't faded overnight. In daylight, it looked less like a scratch and more like an impression, an indentation in the skin, as if something had pressed there for a very long time. You traced it with your thumb. A chill crept up your arm. It's nothing, you whispered, and the sound of your voice steadied you. Saying it out loud helped. It made the room yours again. You got up, showered, dressed. Each small routine felt like proof. Proof that you were awake. Proof that you were not catalogued. At work, you caught yourself zoning out more than once, staring at the glow of the break room's vending machine or the way the hallway lights buzzed softly overhead. At lunch, a coworker asked, "You okay? You look tired." The word hit you like a dropped plate. Tired had never sounded so dangerous. "I'm fine," you said quickly, forcing a smile. "Just didn't sleep well." That night you dreamed, but not of the house. You dreamed of Mr. Lorne, sitting on the porch steps, counting nothing at all. 3 days passed. Then 5. Then 9. You told yourself that was good. That silence meant distance. That the house couldn't follow unless you invited it. Still, you checked your palm every morning. On the 10th day, you found an envelope slipped under your apartment door. No stamp. No return address. Your name written neatly on the front. Your breath caught. Your fingers hovered over it for a long moment before you picked it up. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No letterhead. No signature. Just a sentence. You left too quickly. Your chest tightened. You read it again, hoping the words would change. They didn't. That night you dreamed of the staircase. Not climbing it, standing at the bottom, staring up at the blank final step. Someone stood beside you in the dream. You couldn't see their face, but you knew, somehow, it was Mr. Lorne. "It's still counting," he said. You woke with your heart pounding. Your phone buzzed on the nightstand. A new contact. No name. No number. Just a single message. "Are you resting?" You didn't answer. You turned the phone face down and left it there, like a test you refused to take. That evening, as you walked home from work, you noticed something you hadn't seen before. A porch light. Not the porch light. Just a porch light. On a house halfway down your block, glowing honey yellow through the dusk. Your pace slowed. The house was ordinary. Blue siding, trimmed hedges, a mailbox with a dented flag. But the light hit your eyes in the same way, warm and inviting, like it knew exactly how tired you were. It followed, a voice whispered in your mind. "No," you muttered. "You don't get to do that." You walked faster. Behind you, you thought you heard footsteps matching your pace, not rushing, not chasing, just accompanying. When you reached your building, the sound stopped. You didn't look back. Upstairs, you locked your door and slid down against it, heart hammering. Your phone buzzed again. A new message. "We are flexible." You started writing things down. Not plans. Not strategies. Rules. They went on sticky notes around your apartment. Do not answer unknown messages. Do not nap after sunset. Do not sleep in new places. Do not say your name out loud when you are tired. You added another, after some thought. Fear is a tool. Use it. The mark on your palm tingled whenever you felt sleepy, like a warning buzz beneath the skin. You drank more coffee than was reasonable. You kept lights on late. You listened to loud music, music with lyrics that tangled your thoughts too much for whispers to settle in. It helped. Mostly. Then, one night during a thunderstorm that rattled your windows and soaked the streets, your power went out. The lights snapped off. The music cut mid-song. The silence felt prepared. Your phone lit up in your hand. "Dark makes it easier," the message read. "Let me help." The rain outside slowed, as if listening. And from the far end of your apartment, you heard a familiar sound. Tick. 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 The ticking didn't come from a clock. You owned 3 clocks. You checked them all. Silent. The ticking came from the walls. Soft. Careful. Experimental. You backed toward your bedroom, heart pounding. "No," you whispered. "You're not here." The ticking paused. Then resumed, closer this time. Your phone vibrated violently. "Not here," it replied. "Just near." The wall near your couch creaked, not breaking, not cracking, just shifting, like wood settling in an old place that was learning a new shape. A smell drifted through the air. Chamomile. Warm bread. You gagged. Get out. The ticking grew faster. A whisper brushed the edge of your thoughts, testing. Rest. You grabbed your keys and yanked the door open. The hallway lights flickered on, emergency power humming weakly, but they were enough. Enough to remind the thing that you were still awake. The ticking stopped. You spent the night in your car, engine running, radio loud, parked under a streetlight that buzzed angrily overhead. The mark on your palm burned like ice. You found Mr. Lorne again by accident. Or maybe he found you. He was sitting on a park bench near the bus station, feeding crumbs to pigeons like he'd been there for years. You stopped dead. Mr. Lorne? He looked up slowly. Relief crossed his face, followed by guilt. I was hoping you wouldn't see me, he said. You sat beside him without thinking. Why are you here? He laughed softly. Because the house doesn't stop wanting you just because you leave. Your chest tightened. It's still trying. He nodded. It always does. You wake it up when you escape. You showed him your palm. His face fell. It marked you. You too? You asked. He rolled up his sleeve. His forearm was covered in faint impressions, names, dates, lines half erased. I stay awake as long as I can, he said quietly. I help when I can. That's the trade. What happens if you sleep? You asked. Mr. Lorne watched the pigeons scatter. Then I go back, he said. That night, lying in your bed with every light on, you realized something terrible. The house didn't just want rest. It wanted continuity. People who remembered it. People who could teach it new ways to wait. Your phone buzzed one last time before you turned it off completely. You are doing so well, the message read. Imagine how good it would feel to stop trying. You stared at the ceiling, eyes burning, exhaustion clawing at you. And you whispered, not your name, not a rule, but something else entirely. I see you. The house didn't answer. But somewhere, far away, a porch light flickered and stayed on. You stopped sleeping alone. Not in the literal sense. No one moved in, no one took the other side of the bed, but you stopped being by yourself in the way you had been before. You learned this after the third night you stayed awake until dawn, sitting on the floor with your back against the couch, lights blazing, coffee going cold in your hands. At around 4:17 a.m. you heard a knock. Not on your door. On the idea of your door. It was the same way the house used to speak, close, but not physical. Careful. Testing. You didn't answer. Instead, you said quietly but clearly, I'm awake. The pressure withdrew. Later that morning, you found a note tucked under your windshield wiper. Plain paper. Neat handwriting. Good. Keep doing that. L. You sat in your car and laughed until it hurt. Mr. Lorne introduced you to others. Not all at once. Not in a group. The house liked groups. It learned faster that way. So you met them in pairs, sometimes just passing each other on park benches or in all-night diners where the lights were too bright and the coffee never tasted right. They called themselves the Waking. No meetings. No newsletters. Just rules passed quietly, mouth to ear, scribbled on napkins and promptly burned. A woman named Sarah who never slept in the same place twice. A college kid named Jonah who blasted podcasts through his headphones at night because voices crowded out whispers. An older man who refused to own a bed at all, only hammocks and couches and chairs. Everyone had a mark. Everyone had a story. It doesn't chase everyone, Sarah told you once, stirring sugar into her cup until it dissolved completely. Just the ones who notice when rest starts to feel like permission. Permission for what? You asked. She met your eyes. To stop existing loudly. That night you dreamed of the filing cabinets again. But this time, some drawers were open. Empty. The messages changed. They stopped asking if you were resting. They started asking where. Are you home? Are you safe? Are you comfortable? You never answered. Still, the house adapted. The smell of chamomile was replaced by things you loved more, rain on asphalt, clean laundry, the faint ozone smell before a storm. Once, half asleep on a bus ride home, you heard it try a different voice. "Mr. Lawrence? Just close your eyes," it said gently. "I'll watch." You stood up so fast you nearly fell into the aisle. The driver asked if you were okay. You nodded too hard. That night you added a new rule to the wall. It can imitate. Do not trust familiar kindness. The mark on your palm pulsed approvingly. Or maybe that was just fear. You saw the child again. Not in the house. Not even near it. At a grocery store. They stood in the cereal aisle, barefoot, wearing pajamas patterned with stars. They looked perfectly normal, except for their eyes, which didn't blink often enough. They smiled at you. "Hi," they said. Your stomach dropped. "You're awake," they continued, pleased. "That makes you harder." "Go away," you whispered. They tilted their head. "I can't. I belong to it." "Then why are you here?" They shrugged. "It's practicing." A store announcement crackled overhead. The lights flickered. The child leaned closer. "You left your room unfinished." Your heart pounded. "I don't have a room." They smiled wider. "Not yet." When you blinked, they were gone. In your cart, beneath a box of cereal you didn't remember choosing, was a single white mug. Still warm. You left the cart and walked out. Jonah didn't answer his phone for 2 days. On the third day, Sarah found his car parked neatly on the shoulder of a quiet road. Doors locked. Keys on the seat. No sign of a struggle. No body. Just a note on the dashboard, written in chalk. Resting. The house didn't send messages that night. It didn't need to. You stayed awake until sunrise, shaking, repeating useless truths in your head like prayers. Street lights are lonely. Rain tastes different in every city. Some doors open inward. By morning, the mark on your palm felt heavier. You came closer than ever one winter night. Snow muffled the world, blanketing sound, blurring edges. You were so tired you couldn't remember the last full night of sleep. Your apartment was quiet. Too quiet. The couch looked inviting. Your phone buzzed, not with a message, but with a photo. You asleep. Taken from above. Your breath hitched. "Come home," the house wrote. "I've saved your place." Your vision blurred. The room tilted. You sank to the floor instead of the couch, pressing your forehead to the cold wood. "I'm afraid," you said aloud. The house paused. Fear was still something it didn't know how to take without breaking it. You stayed on the floor until morning. On a gray afternoon, Mr. Lorne finally told you the thing he'd been avoiding. "The house doesn't want everyone," he said quietly. "It wants witnesses." "Witnesses to what?" you asked. He looked tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. "To itself. Places like that need to be remembered or they starve. They grow desperate." "So what happens if everyone forgets?" you asked. Mr. Lawrence smiled faintly. "That's the hope." That night you dreamed of the house collapsing inward, porch light finally going dark, not with a scream, but with a sigh. You woke with tears on your face. Years pass. You learn to sleep in pieces, minutes at a time. Sunlit naps. Shared watch nights with the waking. The house grows quieter. Less confident. Sometimes you pass a place where you know it once stood, but there's only an empty lot now, grass overgrown, no porch, no light. Still, every now and then, when you're very tired, you feel it test the edge of your thoughts. Not demanding. Not begging. Just waiting. And you understand the final rule, the one no one ever writes down. As long as someone stays awake enough to remember, the house cannot finish its work. Tonight you let your eyes close. Just for a minute. You are not resting. You are watching. And somewhere, far away, a porch light flickers. Then stays off. The first time a whole week passed without a message, you didn't celebrate. You waited. The waking had learned that silence could be camouflage. When the house went quiet, it was usually listening, learning a new rhythm, practicing patience the way a predator practices stillness. But this quiet was different. Sarah noticed it first. "It feels thinner," she said over coffee at a diner that never closed. "Like it's farther away." Mr. Lorne didn't answer right away. He stared into his cup like the bottom might tell him something useful. "Places like that don't die," he finally said. "They fade. Slowly. Like memories that stop getting repeated. You felt the mark on your palm that night, still there, but lighter. Less precise. As if some of the pressure had lifted. Someone sent a pin through the waking's quiet channels. No explanation. Just coordinates. You went at dusk. The lot was empty except for tall grass and a cracked concrete slab where a foundation had once been. No debris. No scorch marks. No sign anything had ever stood there. But you felt it. That familiar pull. That subtle gravity in the chest. Mr. Lorne stood beside you, hands in his coat pockets. "This is where it learned the most," he said. "That's why it held on longest." "Is it gone?" you asked. He shook his head. "Houses don't go. They wait somewhere else." As if to prove him right, a street light across the road flickered once. Then steadied. Not honey yellow. White. You slept more after that. Not well. Not deeply. But longer. Dreams came back, hesitant at first, fragmented images that didn't smell like chamomile or whisper your name. Ordinary dreams. Stress dreams. Boring dreams. You welcomed them all. Still, you kept the rules. You never slept in unfamiliar places without light. You never answered messages sent at night. You never trusted rest that felt like forgiveness. Sometimes you caught yourself missing the vigilance. The clarity fear had given you. That scared you more than the house ever had. You saw the child one last time. They were taller now. Wearing a jacket too thin for the weather. Standing at a bus stop, staring at nothing. They looked tired. "You don't need to do this," you said quietly, standing a careful distance away. They glanced at you, eyes less certain than before. "I don't know how to stop." "You could forget," you offered. They frowned. "It doesn't like that." "Neither do I," you said gently. "But it works." The bus came. The doors opened. People boarded. When you looked back, the child was gone. On the bench, chalk dust marked where they'd been sitting, already fading. Years later, you tell someone this story. Not all of it. Just enough. You don't use the word house. You call it a place. A habit. A mistake that learned how to wait. They laugh nervously. "That's creepy." You smile. "It should be." That night, as you lie in bed, the mark on your palm is barely visible. Just a suggestion now. A scar more remembered than felt. You let yourself sleep. Deeply. And if something listens, it finds nothing useful. Only breathing. Only darkness. Only the quiet certainty of someone who knows the difference between rest and surrender. The porch light does not turn on. And somewhere, something unfinished learns, at last, how to be forgotten. The dream began without an edge. No hallway. No stairs. No porch light waiting patiently in the dark. You were standing in a grocery store aisle, arguing with yourself about cereal. Too much sugar. Not enough fiber. The kind of dream so ordinary it almost felt insulting after everything you'd survived. You woke up smiling. That was new. The smile faded when you realized what had changed. Not the dream, but you. You hadn't checked the room when you woke. You hadn't counted breaths. You hadn't scanned for ticking. You lay there for a long moment, listening. Nothing listened back. Fear had trained you well. Even as sleep returned, your body kept the old reflexes. You noticed exits. You preferred corners in restaurants. You flinched when someone spoke your name too softly. The waking thinned over time. Some stopped answering messages. Some sent notes like "I think it's over" and vanished into ordinary lives. A few disappeared. Mr. Lorne never judged them. Staying awake forever isn't living, he said once. It's just delaying. You wondered which one you were doing. The house didn't return all at once. It never would. Instead, the quiet changed. It gained shape. You noticed it first on a Sunday afternoon nap, the kind you'd sworn never to take again. Sunlight warmed your legs. A book rested open on your chest. You drifted. Just a sleep tipped deeper, a sensation brushed your thoughts. Not a whisper, not a word. A recognition. You jerked awake, heart racing. The room was the same. The clock unchanged. But the feeling lingered. Not hunger. Curiosity. It wasn't just one house. You understood that slowly, painfully. Places talk to each other, not with voices, but with patterns. Old hotels. Long-term care facilities. Overnight shelters where people stayed long enough to be known, but not long enough to be remembered. They watched. They learned what worked. Not all of them wanted. Some just noticed. And noticing was enough. You met him at a rest stop off the interstate. He looked exhausted in a way you recognized instantly. Do you ever feel like some places don't want you to leave? He asked, casual as small talk. Your coffee tasted suddenly bitter. Yes, you said carefully. Do you? He laughed weakly. Good. I thought I was crazy. You wanted to tell him everything. You didn't. Instead, you said, don't sleep where the lights don't change. He frowned. What? Just trust me. He nodded like someone who would remember. You hoped that was enough. Years later, when Mr. Lawrence stopped answering altogether, you found a letter waiting for you. No envelope. Just paper, folded twice. I think I'm ready to sleep, it read. If the house takes me, it will get less than it wants. I've worn myself thin on purpose. At the bottom, in shakier handwriting. Final rule, you don't win by staying awake forever. You win by choosing when to rest. You sat with that for a long time. The night you finally let yourself sleep deeply, you prepared for it like a ritual. Lights low but not off. Curtains open. Phone powered down. You lay in bed and said, not aloud, but firmly, I am not giving myself away. Sleep came anyway. It did not ask permission. It did not bargain. It simply arrived. If the house still exists, and you suspect it does, it has learned something new. That some people cannot be kept. That memory is not possession. That rest is not the same as surrender. And that hunger, left unfed long enough, turns inward. Sometimes you pass houses at night with porch lights glowing warmly. They no longer pull at you. They look lonely. You wonder how many places are waiting for someone to need them badly enough. You keep walking. Tonight you fall asleep easily. Too easily. In the dream, you are standing in a familiar hallway. The walls are bare. The door is unmarked. At the end is a single light switch. You reach for it. Just before your fingers touch, you wake up. Heart steady. Room quiet. Still yours. And somewhere, whether you believe it or not, something unfinished turns over in the dark and realizes, for the first time, that it is alone. And that this is what hunger feels like.